Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Mike the Engineer, and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program. Where we last left off, we have Bob and Valentina left on the surface of the Mun. So now it is time to bring them home. So we're just going to load into our save, and we are going to be performing our very important scientific experiments so we can continue getting parts and experience for our Kerbals so we can head off to the planet Duna. So we have just ascended. We are heading prograde on the 90-degree mark in order to meet up with our spaceship. Yes, with our orbiting module with nobody on it. And we don't have any probe cores because I forgot to do that. Oh well, we'll get there, no problems whatsoever. As you can see, we have plenty of fuel, and we are heading up to make our encounter. So, as you can see on the Mun, there is no atmosphere, there is no atmospheric drag. We can simply take off, point sideways, just to make sure we don't hit any mountains or anything. And here we are, we're just slightly adjusting our encounter on the other side of the Mun, near the terminator between dark and light. Just adjusting the radial in and out markers just to minimize the distance between the two vessels. And there we go, we have a decent encounter now. No more than a few kilometers, I would think. So we're going to time warp up to that maneuver node. We're going to execute it, and we are going to be bringing these guys home nice and easy. No problems, no unexpected anything whatsoever. 42 meters per second. Uh-oh, what's that? Our engine failed. Once again, thanks to the Kerbalism mod. Just adding a little bit of spice to our missions. So, as I was just saying, normally in this scenario I would go over to the orbiter and use that to do our maneuvers. However, I don't have a probe core on there, and I don't have a pilot on there. So, there isn't that much we can do. We do have some monopropellant in the lander because we have the reaction wheels, so we don't have to rely on RCS for attitude control, so we have plenty of that left. So I think there's only one thing we can do. We have to do an EVA, an extravehicular activity. See, I'm just checking our monopropellant levels. We have our jetpacks, we have the standard Kerbal kit. So that is the EVA pack and the parachute, but we don't really need a parachute. So I am just adjusting my maneuver node, seeing how hard it would be to get an encounter, seeing how long it'll be before I get the encounter, because Kerbals have a much more limited life support system than the spaceship does. So we have an encounter. We're going to EVA our pilot Valentina Kerman so she can go ahead and meet up with our spaceship. Just time warping a little bit closer, again minimizing that time we are out in space because we do not have any protection. There is radiation we have to worry about, and we only have 2 hours of oxygen and electric charge. So we don't want to be out there too long. But fortunately, this isn't that long. We should be able to meet up with the orbiter, no problemo. And just like any other rendezvous, we are going to be doing our kind of lazy-ish method where we nudge the retrograde marker towards the anti-target, and we're just gonna head in, time warp up, get real close. We are now 2.7 kilometers away from our orbiter, And now, when this happens, you can like switch your camera to free mode by pressing V, and you'll get like the orbit landing style camera switch. That's really annoying. I find it really annoying. I don't know what you guys think, but that's how I'm gonna do it. And we're just heading in close towards our target. 30 meters per second, 20 meters per second, 12 meters per second, 10 meters per second, 12 meters per second as our final velocity. And we're just going to time warp closer. And then as you can see, those targets are going to drift a little bit, simply due to the orbit that we are in. Not because of a specific orbit, but just because when you're going slow and you're doing a rendezvous, you're going to be shifting relative to your target very slightly. Here we are 100 meters away, coming up close. So we can have Val perform a grabbing maneuver, just like grab onto the side of the command pod, basically. Nothing too fancy there. And she is going to take control of the vessel, so we can perform the rendezvous with the lander, and we can bring Bob home and all of that good scientific data, because that's why we're here, right? That's why we came here. So we're setting as a target. We're going to make another maneuver node, adjust our rendezvous nodes. Basically, they just show where your position is. You've seen these before. We have a separation of, I believe it's 4 kilometers. That's 4 kilometers is as close as I can get with just what we have here. Time warping up to our maneuver node. We're going to execute it. Hopefully our engine doesn't fail again, because that would be really annoying. Because we would have to perform 2 rendezvous, one for the orbiter, one for the lander, if I had to perform a rescue mission. But our engine is fine. No rescues today. No more rescues. No additional rescues. So we're just going to make this rendezvous, grab Bob, grab our science data, and head back home. So once again, we're going to be nudging our target towards, or our retrograde marker towards the anti-target, just like that, by pointing slightly away from it, getting rid of some of our velocity in the process, and we are time warping up to meet it. Yes, this looks quite simple. I have a lot of practice. I'll tell you right now, the first time I did a rendezvous in orbit of Kerbin in stock Kerbal space program, it would take me like an hour to rendezvous, and now it takes like 5 minutes. It's literally just practice. Practice makes perfect. Just do this enough and you'll figure it out, basically. This isn't a rendezvous tutorial or anything. Scott Manley has a good rendezvous tutorial if you need it. So does Matt Lown. I'll probably do one. Actually, I think I did one a couple episodes ago where we just made that stock space station. Like the small space station. But here we are, coming into dock for the last time for this episode. Very slowly, 0.8 meters per second. I believe NASA does it even slower than this. But here we go, docking, and we are going to take Bob on an EVA so he can collect the science data. So we're just gonna right click on all of our experiments, make sure we've got everything. Yep. We already taken all the science we can from on orbit. So it's not a problem. Small amount of goo. We're gonna right click that mem, click take data. Just make sure we have everything, because we're gonna deorbit this, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly. I'm doing this the morning after. I don't remember exactly what I did. But we're going to grab on, we're gonna board. I think we have some duplicate experiments, so we have to dump those before we board our vessel. Check that is critically failed one more time, which means even if I wanted to, I could not get out and fix it. It's red. It's done. It's done. You can't do anything about it. So we're just going to deorbit this, and that is just bringing our periapsis negative. And we are going to bring all the fuel back into the orbiter section just to give us a little bit extra delta V, although I don't think we need it at all. It's just good to do, I guess. You don't have to. I just did it because, like, there's leftover fuel. We're going to be ditching that lower stage anyways, but just to make sure we have enough to get home. And I am just doing one more check just to make sure we have every little bit of science that we can possibly take, because we do not want to be leaving any, because that is no fun. Because we came all this way, we may as well get all the science we can. Like I said, that'll give us bigger rockets. And as we burn away, the lander tumbles, and we bring ourselves back up into a stable orbit. And we are going to be heading back to Kerbin, bringing our astronauts home. Just raising our periapsis so we don't smash into the sides of any mountains or anything, because that would not be a good way to end this episode. I do not want to kill any Kerbals. I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but if I can avoid it, we're going to be avoiding killing Kerbals. So like I said, I was thinking either I could start a Patreon, and I could have either list you guys on the plaques of the flags that I plant, or I can have you be named Kerbals, or I could do both. Maybe have a tiered system. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. But we are just lowering our Kerbin periapsis into the atmosphere, so we don't have to spend any fuel in what is known as an Aero capture. So all we have to do is time warp down into the planet. Oh, and sometimes Kerbalism just like glitches out sometimes with solar panels or whatever, so we have to retract those, and then we can time warp a little bit, and then we will extend those when we run out of electric charge, because we need the electricity for life support, like the oxygen scrubbers and whatever else is on here. I don't remember exactly. But we can extend our solar panels now. It just kind of glitches when you switch vessels, I think. I don't know. Not 100% sure on what happens. But we are headed home through the Van Allen belts, which is caused by the magnetic field around Kerbin and around Earth. Watching our communication satellites dance around the planet as we come down. And yeah, that's our mission, essentially. Just watching the big blue planet as it gets bigger and bigger as we head in to meet its atmosphere. Yeah. And just gonna point retrograde. Yeah, I should probably have turned around and ditched it so we don't like have the enemy parts like hit our command module, because that is not good. That is all for today. If you like this episode, make sure to hit that like button. If you loved it, make sure to subscribe.